what is your favorite childhood memory?
At Christmas, when we were growing up, the first thing we'd do when we'd wake up would be to kind of run to the mirror and see if we had a little kiss on our cheek. My mom would put like a little soot, like Santa had kissed us. And I just remember getting up and running to the mirror to see if he had come yet. So that's always a good one.
Hey there, and welcome to Impact After Hours, where changemakers sign off from work and log into life. I'm Camila Rente, CEO and co-founder of Human Group Media and your host. Today, I'm excited to find out what Jenifer Willig, CEO and co-founder of WRTHY, is really like off-duty. With WRTHY, Jenifer brings together experts from the worlds of advertising, marketing, communications, policy, advocacy, media, and more to fight important social and environmental issues. Some of their most influential campaigns and work include PassTheMic, Vow for Girls, Not Brides, Project Dandelion, and Take It Down. Before founding WRTHY, Jenifer was also the CMO and CEO of WRTHY, the organization founded by Bono and Bobby Shriver to fight AIDS in Africa. Jenifer also happens to be a certified genius. She's been called one of Fast Company's top 10 most generous marketing geniuses, so it's safe to assume that her answers today will be brilliant. Jenifer, welcome to the show.
Thank you. That's quite an intro. I have a high bar.
Yes. No pressure at all. But so tell me, Jenifer, what does it feel like to be officially designated a genius? Do you have that framed somewhere?
I don't. I don't think it's that official, to be honest.
It's not like someone's mom calling their child a genius, or like a grandma calling their grandchild, which my mom always does, in reference to my son, calling them a genius. But this is, it's kind of official.
It was an amazing honor, and if you see the other people on that list, I was quite amazed to be a part of the list.
One thing that you said in a previous interview, that you only go after big, hairy, and audacious goals, or BHAGs. A quick look at your clients and your work confirms that. So there's the ambition for sure. Do you think you were born with that ambition, or did you develop that over time?
I grew up with two brothers, so a kind of a competitive household. I was the only girl. And my dad, we were a military family. So my dad was in the military. He was a pilot in the Air Force. So we moved every 3 years. And I think part of that kind of, you have to be a little bit, risk-taking, not afraid of change when you're the new kid at a school every 3 years and trying to make friends. And I was talking to a friend the other day. They were asking kind of a question of like, what was a defining moment in your younger years? Uh-huh. And I did remember something. I thought when I was in junior high, I was running. There was elections in junior high.
Yes.
I wanted to run for president of the Honor Society, and my teacher told me that no, I don't think you should run for president. I think you should run for secretary. And I was like, well, I don't want to be the secretary. So
you want to be the president.
Exactly. And I think I must have been in 7th grade, and I ran for president, and I did win. And it was kind of one of those things, like, I'm not going to listen to people tell me what to do. and it was a very early defining moment that I think kind of has continued. And I can't say that I'm always this bold, and I still have moments of doubt, and more moments than I care to admit. But I think, growing up that way where you're moving around a lot, I'm not afraid of change, and I'm not afraid of taking a risk as a result of that, because I know, you move in the next 3 years and you can always be something different and do something different. And, it doesn't really set you back that too much.
Do you also feel like working in social impact, when you started out, do you feel like the general public really didn't know like what it meant? Or do you feel like that was another part of you that wanted for people to understand or to share that passion with you?
Absolutely. I mean, I have to admit, when I kind of made a left turn into social impact, I didn't think I was going to spend my career in social impact. I was working in advertising for a very long time. I was running the Levi's business with one of my partners here at WRTHY, and got the call about this role at Red, which I had never heard of at the time. It had maybe just been announced and just launched. I decided, another risk take. I decided to take that risk because I thought, I wasn't an AIDS activist at the time. I hadn't worked for a nonprofit. You know what advertising is like. I worked all the time. And I really, when I was interviewing, I didn't kind of get the connection of why they wanted someone like me. And I will give it to the founders, to say that they weren't looking for somebody that had been working in nonprofits. They really wanted someone who knew how to build a brand. And I think it's something I take today is like they knew I would fall in love with the issue. They knew I would be committed. It was more about making sure what we were building was going to be sustainable and successful over time. And they were right. So I went to Red, and that I felt like I had kind of trained all my muscles in advertising to go to some place like Red, which was very new. Nobody really knew what it was or what it was going to be. Working with some of the biggest brands in the world, and really being able to kind of reframe how people thought of this deadly disease that was killing millions of people. It was about living with HIV, not dying of AIDS, and being able to show a new way of raising funds and raising awareness and getting people involved in the issue. And it absolutely changed kind of my trajectory of my career in ways I didn't anticipate. And I am so grateful for, because I don't think I could ever leave social impact after having worked there for 5 years. Yeah.
I feel like once you're in this space, you can't go back. So we're going to, I think, continue with this driving analogy. You said you took a left turn. We're going to take a sharp turn, Jenifer, because I want to play a fast round of questions with you. So a lightning round of questions, as we also call it here. You're at a hotel on vacation. Would we find you at the gym, the restaurant, or by the pool?
By the pool. Definitely not in the gym.
Out of the three choices, that is definitely one that I will not choose. Either restaurant or by the pool, if I were to answer that. Would you rather watch a documentary of a person or read their autobiography?
Oh, gosh. That's such a good question. I like both. Maybe a documentary these days, I have to say. I think being able to visualize and see it in a documentary for sure. I like to read fiction. I don't like to see fiction translated into movies, but documentaries, I like to experience the actual real place instead of trying to conjure it up in my mind.
Is there a documentary you saw recently that kind of stuck with you, or that you're still thinking about?
We just watched the World War II documentary that was on Netflix. That was amazing. The colorized version, it was amazing. And I don't know the name of the series, but really, really, the film looks amazing.
What was your least favorite school subject? Math, history, science, or gym? I see you thinking already.
Probably math after algebra. I liked algebra, and then beyond that, no thanks.
Yeah, I feel like when I was young too, I tried to be a mathlete. I was such a nerd. I loved math, and my parents thought I was going to be this like math genius. And then when college came around and the math subjects started to get really, really hard, I was like, I'm out. Yeah. I'm going to take political science.
I went English lit, so I was really away from math.
You stayed away from it as far as possible. On the self-care scale of 1 to 10, where do you sit?
That's so interesting. I feel like pretty high up, only because I don't live in the city anymore. I live in the country, and I get to be outside and, swim in a pond and, see horses and cows. So I think that's very much my way of self-care, is to be able to be out in nature and with animals. And so I think pretty high up, because I get to do that quite often.
I think so too. Maybe like an 8 or 9, and then the last.
Yeah, I think
it's like
so.
you just
I'm very lucky.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, you are very lucky if you're that close to nature.
Yeah.
I'm quite jealous, actually. So that's the end of the fast round.
Okay.
You mentioned that you were an English lit major in college, or you were an English lit major. So I'm curious, what is your desert island book and why?
My desert island book. I mean, I read Wuthering Heights every year because I like to cry on an airplane. But I read a lot, so I like all genres. I think The Night Circus is such a fun book, kind of a bit of a fantasy book. I do read some nonfiction that has some, excitement. I'm not a big self-help book. I probably should, but I don't read a lot of that. I read for kind of entertainment.
Me too.
And, I like all of the Devil in the White City and all of those kinds of kind of true crime kind of fictionalized versions, which is really fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you could give me 10 books on a desert island and I would be quite satisfied.
Yeah, I would be happy to. And
Yeah.
you mentioned did you say you like crying on a
Yes.
plane?
Yes.
I feel like it's a different experience too. I don't know. It's maybe better for some weird reason, because you're just so far away from everything and everyone, and like,
or lack of oxygen, I think. I think there's something in the air, but I was reading it. I read it kind of the beginning of the year, and I was on it, and I was just sobbing. And I've read this book a lot.
Okay, yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah, there's a movie coming out. I'm not sure I'm ready for that version of the movie yet.
What is your favorite childhood memory?
Let's see. Favorite childhood memory. My parents were really good at the holidays. And so I always remember at Christmas, when we were growing up, the first thing we'd do when we'd wake up would be to kind of run to the mirror and see if we had a little kiss on our cheek. My mom would put like a little soot, like Santa had kissed us.
Oh, that's cute.
And I just remember getting up and running to the mirror to see if he had come yet. So that's always a good one. And then, I have to say that traveling around, it wasn't something I really liked. So, learning to ski in Germany and things like that, like just the different areas that we got to live was really fun. It wasn't until high school where it started to feel a little like, oh, do I have to go make new friends?
Who was the last person that left you starstruck?
Left me starstruck. I mean, I have to say, working at Red, you get to meet a lot of folks.
I bet.
Oh, you know who actually? When you mentioned PassTheMic, when we did the campaign for COVID response and global COVID response, PassTheMic, we interviewed about 45 celebs and paired them with experts in kind of global health. And the first one we launched with was the conversation between Julia Roberts and Dr. Anthony Fauci. And both of them where I was starstruck by, probably more so than Julia Roberts. Dr. Fauci was just amazing. So that was kind of I will say that's probably the most recent. That was pretty amazing to see Dr. Fauci in the midst of kind of what was happening at the moment.
Who is your fictional character alter ego, Jenifer?
I feel like my alter ego is not necessarily a person, but I do like those kind of the detective series that, are trying to be outsmarted. I do like the lead detective type things.
The whodunits, and then they're the smartest person in the room. Yeah.
I've read all the Agatha Christie's, so I do like all that.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
I sound like such an old lady.
No, you don't. I would want to have that as like my alter ego too. Solving a mystery and kind of like looking at clues.
Yeah.
And just like literally using your brain
Trying to figure things out. Yeah, exactly.
What is your go-to after hours media? What have you been watching, reading, or listening to lately?
I've been watching White Lotus and Daredevil, which is the reboot of Daredevil, which is pretty good. So those are the two, from a video. What I'm listening to right now. I do like the Handsome podcast. It does make me laugh in this time. So I do listen to that one.
Yes, I love Tig Notaro.
Tig Notaro makes me laugh very much.
Before we let you go, Jenifer, is there anything that's big or anything at all that you're working on at WRTHY, or anything that you want to share with our listeners?
We're working on a lot of stuff right now at WRTHY. A big focus on climate and climate adaptation, in addition to Project Dandelion. A big focus for us on gender issues. And I think the one thing I would say, we child protection online. We were just at South by Southwest for the Take It Down campaign, is stay engaged. I think it's easy to kind of stay in your bubble. And I think, be curious, find out what's happening, and not just in your neighborhood, but in your community, your state, your country, the world. And I think we'll all be better for that.
I totally agree. Jenifer, I had such a good time.
Thank you, Camille.